15 years slipped by like pages torn from a worn-out book. The world changed, though Jake Holloway remained mostly the same. His hair had grayed at the temples, and the lines on his face spoke of long days under the sun and nights spent wondering whether he'd made the right choices in life. His ranch still stood, modest but sturdy, and his spirit still carried the quiet resilience of a man who had weathered storms without losing his soul. But his solitude had deepened. Dusty had long since passed, and with no wife, no children, Jake lived in the company of silence. Some neighbors in town called him the Lonesome Rider. Others said he was a fool for staying on land that yielded so little. Yet Jake never complained. He had learned long ago that even the smallest acts of kindness left a mark on the world, invisible though they might seem. One evening, as the sky burned orange and violet, Jake sat on his porch with a cup of coffee, staring out at the horizon. That was when he felt it first, the faint vibration in the ground. Then came the sound, low and rhythmic, like distant thunder rolling across the plains. He rose to his feet, heart thudding, as the sound grew louder. Hooves. Many of them. Jake stepped off the porch and shaded his eyes. From the far edge of the prairie, a dark wave surged forward, an army of riders, their silhouettes fierce against the setting sun. Dozens, no, hundreds. Warriors dressed in leather and feathers, their long hair flowing, their lances glinting in the light. The earth trembled beneath their charge, and the air grew thick with the dust of their coming. Jake's instinct screamed danger, but he didn't move. Something held him still. The riders slowed as they neared his ranch, forming a wide circle around his land. Horses snorted, stamping the earth, eyes flashing. The warriors sat tall and silent, their faces stern, their weapons gleaming. For a moment, the silence was deafening, as though the world itself was holding its breath. Then, from the center of the formation, one rider nudged her horse forward. A woman, regal and commanding, her long black hair braided with beads and eagle feathers. She wore the markings of leadership, her gaze unwavering as she dismounted. She walked toward Jake, each step purposeful, her boots leaving prints in the dust. When she finally stopped before him, Jake's breath caught. Her face, strong, proud, yet achingly familiar. "Jake Holloway," she said, her voice firm, resonant, but carrying an undercurrent of warmth. Jake blinked, stunned. "Naya." A smile touched her lips, fleeting but real. "You remember." Jake let out a shaky laugh, part disbelief, part relief. "Remember. Girl, you were about the hardest soul to forget I ever met." She stood tall, her eyes shimmering with emotions kept tightly reined. 15 years ago, you gave me water when I was dying of thirst. You gave me food, shelter, kindness, when the world had forgotten me. You didn't ask who I was, or what I was worth. You simply gave." Jake swallowed hard. The memory of that night returned with piercing clarity, the frightened child by the fire, her laughter at Dusty's sneeze, the folded blanket she left behind. "I did what any decent man would have done." "No," she said firmly, her dark eyes locking onto his. "Many would have turned away. Many did. But you saw me." The circle of warriors watched in silence, their faces unreadable, but the weight of their presence pressed heavy on Jake's chest. Naya lifted her hand and gestured toward them. "These are my people. Over the years, I found them, scattered, broken, but not defeated. I became their voice, their shield, their leader. And today, I bring them here, not in conquest, but in gratitude." Jake's throat tightened. "Gratitude." She nodded. "The forgotten Apache girl you once helped, has not forgotten you. We ride today to honor the man who gave her a chance to live." At her signal, several warriors dismounted. From their saddlebags, they pulled gifts, blankets woven with intricate patterns, carved totems, baskets of maize and beans, leather saddles too finely crafted for any ordinary cowboy. They laid them at Jake's feet with reverence, each gift a silent testimony. Jake stared, stunned. I don't deserve this." Naya stepped closer, her voice low but steady. "You do. Because you taught me something no blade, no fire, no battle ever could, that even in a world divided by fear and hatred, compassion still exists. And it can change the course of a life." Her words pierced him deeper than any arrow ever could. He looked around at the warriors, at the strength in their faces, at the hope flickering in their eyes. For the first time in years, Jake felt the crushing loneliness inside him begin to lift. "You came back," he whispered, almost to himself. "I promised myself I would," Naya replied. Not as a frightened child, but as a leader who could stand before you as an equal. To repay what was given. The air was thick with silence again, but this time it was not heavy with fear, it was sacred, alive, brimming with something Jake hadn't felt in years, belonging. And though he didn't know it yet, this was only the beginning of a moment that would forever change not just his life, but the lives of everyone gathered there.